Hey everybody, today we're going to use a tool called Go to the Field. And really it's about finishing an unresolved conversation. There are definitely people in your life that you have things to say, that you've pushed down, that you've ignored, that you pretended were not there. Now, as far as social etiquette goes, we have been taught, I know I was taught, that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. But the problem is when we have these thoughts, they come out in our body language. And we've learned what's socially acceptable, and yet there's still our facial expressions. Do you know that our face has so many different ways to express itself? And do you know that a habit like rolling of the eyes is involuntary? It's based on my thoughts, my intentions, my attitude. Quick story, when I was in college, I was waiting tables, and I definitely thought waiting tables was beneath me. And I was going to be educated. That's why I was going to college. And once I had got my education, I was never going to wait tables again. So I kind of had this attitude that I was better than other people, even the people I waited on. Now, this could have been a mix of just being plain immature and prideful and arrogant. And at that time in my life, I was waiting tables and I rolled my eyes at a customer when she asked me for more ketchup. And later on that night, I was fired from that job for rolling my eyes at a customer who asked for more ketchup. And I didn't know how not to roll my eyes when the boss said I was fired. Because when she said I was fired, I denied rolling my eyes. I didn't roll my eyes, and then I rolled my eyes. And I was trying to figure out how I could train myself not to roll my eyes. And I was finding it very hard. And I've always been one for self-help books. And what happened is I finally put it together that the reason why I couldn't stop rolling my eyes was because of my attitude. And until I had sincere, authentic care and love for others, I was going to continue to think that I was better than, and I was going to continue to roll my eyes as a gesture of my I'm better than you attitude. So our facial expressions, our body language is involuntary. Things come out in our body language that we don't always know we're aware of. Now, some of us can get better at faking when we're happy. We can put a smile on our face, that kind of thing. But we all know that we push down words that we want to say. Another example is saying cuss words, all right? So I do my very best not to say any bad words. I want to be a good example for my teenager. I also have realized that I can reach more people if I clean up my language. And I do want to talk to everybody, and I want to find better ways to communicate and articulate without using bad words. But sometimes a bad word feels so good to say. I might be the only one here, but what I realized is that when I go to the field, I am opening myself up to dump a conversation, to dump negative feelings and words that I've been pushed down, that are somewhere inside me. And this is a way to release. So it comes down to sometimes we don't get to finish the conversation. Sometimes I can't talk. In that moment, I can be triggered by the other person that I can't articulate what I want to say. And I sometimes will walk away thinking, oh, I wish I would have thought of that. Or I'll come, when I think of a comeback, being witty on the spot. Usually I think about those after the fact, not in that moment. And I'm not always able to express and complete my part of the story or complete my side of what I want to communicate. So I want to touch base on something as far as our brain goes. Our mind thrives upon completion. And when we leave something unsaid or undone, it weighs us down. And when I didn't have a chance to say it, then I'm wasting energy thinking about what I could have said, right? So this is an opportunity to release some of that unfinished business. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a conversation, and we're going to invite a person that we have had an unresolved conversation to the field. So first, you go somewhere where no one can hear you. There is a field next to my house. There's a lot going on because the freeway is close by, the ocean is close by, but there's a big area that I have gone to, and then I have done these exercises. Now, the beach is another place where I live on an empty beach, so to speak, and a lot of times there's no one around, and I can't see anyone, to the north or south of me. And so sometimes that feels safe. Now, every once in a while, I could see how maybe someone from afar, they might not be able to hear me, but they might think I'm a little crazy if I'm waving my arms around. You can finish the conversation on paper. You can finish the conversation in your car. My best advice is to be able to find a place where you are alone, where you will not be worried about someone seeing you or hearing you, so that you can use your body language, you can use the full range of your voice and release the body language, the words, the feeling. We are going to use this exercise to really get inside. Now, we're having this conversation with the person. So going to a field means going to a place where I can talk and I'm not going to be held back by someone watching. It's about being alone so that I'm really able to not worry about what other people are going to hear or think or see. So we want to have a conversation, but it's not with the physical person. We're going to emotionally finish a conversation by using your imagination. That's right. We are going to talk to the person, but it's not necessarily the physical person. So my sister, she has a great way of doing this. She has people in her life that, because of mental illness, because of limitations, they aren't in person able to communicate all that well. And so even with her imagination, physically seeing that person being able to communicate doesn't work. So what she does is she imagines that person spiritually, like the person at their best, she has a conversation with that spirit. So she's using the information, the information that she has about that person, and she's also done this with her grandparents who are dead. So she does it with people that are alive and has full-on conversations with them with her imagination. She imagines what they say back. She imagines what she wants to say to them. And she's done this with people that are alive and people that are dead. And she gets so much, and she's given me so many ideas about how I can finish a conversation, whether someone's dead or alive or incapable. I can meet with them in the best case scenario and use my imagination. Now, this might seem totally woo-woo to some of you. So we can just start with a conversation that I am verbally going to have out loud. And I'm going to verbally say the things that I'm not able to say to that person physically or in that moment. And usually I started out by calling that person a name, because usually I am pushing down cuss words, name calling, blame, and I've learned that blaming someone, shaming someone, being mad at someone doesn't really work. It doesn't work. And so I use this exercise to get all of that out, because it still needs to be out of me, because it could come out in passive aggressive ways. It could come out in different ways I don't have control over if I'm always pushing down what I want to say. So this is a way to release what I want to say. It's also a way for the mind to let go of judgment and shame, so that we're open to new possibilities. So set aside what you think you know about that person so that you can have a new experience, and that you can go to the field and have a conversation without any expectation of what's going to happen. And I promise you, it's going to change you. I promise you. I've had so many clients change. This has changed me. So you want to talk about what happened, what you can remember, how you felt, and start the conversation by using your imagination. You're going to invite the person you need to talk to in the room. And what I would even do to start out is actually make a list of people that you have unresolved conversations with. And just do one at a time. So you're going to ask their permission to finish the conversation, and imagine that person giving it their permission. So you're going to say everything you've wanted to say. You're going to tell your side. Don't hold back. So this is when sometimes I will just go through every single name I have ever wanted to call out. I will cuss. I will let it rip. I will yell. I will scream. Caution. I have been so mad and yelled and screamed to the point where I almost lost my voice. I literally hurt my vocal cords. I scarred them, or I let out a tone and a volume and a frequency that I would never allow myself to let go. And it literally hurt my vocal cords. But there was so much healing. We're trained to act a certain way. And so when I think that all of that was inside of me and I was going to keep it in there, and I think in that moment, it might not even have been just about that person. It was like I was ready to get rid of all the times I wanted to scream and yell, and I was able to just really let this deep down stuff out. And it didn't permanently damage my throat. It hurt for about 24 hours. And it was a signal and a reminder the next day that I released something from the depth deep inside of me that had been there for a long time, for it to hurt so bad to come out, physically hurt. So as you're talking and you're letting it out, one part of this dumping is that you are going to forgive them. You're going to tell them everything that you're mad about. You're going to tell them everything that was wrong. You're going to tell them how you really feel, and you're going to say, I forgive you. And those of you that have a problem with forgiveness, we have to forgive. It's part of what we learn how to do here. If you want to love yourself and love others, you have to learn how to forgive. It is essential for being happy. You have to forgive. And you can practice. Maybe even the first time you don't even believe it, but forgiveness is a skill. And when you practice forgiving, you can get better at it. So forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. But hopefully you've gotten out all the details and descriptions and all your side of the story, so that you can at the end say, I forgive you. And then you're going to ask them to forgive you for holding the emotions you had against them. And your body may resist this, but it's important so that you can move on, so that they can move on. Okay. I have done this in the field. I have done this in my car. I have done this at the beach. I've done it hiking. It's about finding a place that you can let it go, let it out, don't hold back. So the common mistakes that happen is that you're not really able to let go. You end up being fake or less authentic. And this is about being true to yourself. Another mistake people will do is they'll hold back. So they might think of calling them a cuss word, but then they hold back because that's not the right thing to do. God will forgive you for a cuss word. He knows you think it, feel it anyway. So don't hold back. God understands. This made me just realize that some of you may even be mad at God. And going out into the wilderness and talking to God and hitting nature, kicking a stick, throwing rocks, using nature to get some aggression out is a huge part of releasing and letting go of these things that we've been taught we can't do. Especially as a woman, we are taught, that we can't get angry, that we can't hit, that we can't throw. And when I first learned that I could take a stick and beat it, It felt so good. I can't even tell you. I mean, I did not hold back. I let the stick show my anger. Okay? A common mistake is not forgiving. You have to forgive. You have to forgive that person. You have to say it out loud. And if it's hard, practice. And the last mistake is not asking for forgiveness. So forgiveness is a big piece of this. So this is about dumping. This is about dumping the words that are inside you that you never got to say. Okay, so I had a coworker that complained about me. I know, it's so hard to believe that anyone would complain about me. And I was so mad. I mean, I just kept playing it over and over and over in my head. And I knew that I wanted to retaliate. And I knew that it was going to show up somehow in my body language. And I really wanted to let it go. So I went out to the field and I called him every name. And I told him how angry I was. And it just allowed me to like exhale. I mean, I talked until there wasn't anything else to say. And then I said, I forgive you for complaining about me. And I just started crying. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. And I asked for his forgiveness for holding on to these negative emotions and for judging him and for cussing and calling him every name that I could think of. The next time I saw him, it was so easy to be around him. Now, I'm the type of person that I'll hold on to something, right? And I really felt like he let things go as well. Now, I have had such a great experience with this. Even my ex-husband, occasionally, he will say something to me and I will not have a chance to say my side. And so I often use this as a way to forgive him and forgive myself for being mad. It's been a beautiful experience. It's been beautiful because when I let go and I don't keep, because when we're mad at someone and then we have to keep having conversations with them in the future, I take that negative energy from the last conversation into the next conversation. So it's important to clean up these old conversations because they come out in our new conversations. And wouldn't it be nice to have a clean slate every time? I think a lot of times it's hard to isolate what's happening right in front of us because we're triggered about a feeling that came from another conversation and it adds up and it builds up. And so I don't isolate, I'm angry at you because of what you just said. I look at it as I am angry at you for every single conversation we've had. And it's not this conversation, it's all of the conversation. So we want to clean up these conversations so that we're fresh, that we can have a new experience with that person. And it's healing to us. It keeps us fresh and rejuvenated and open. Because when we're weighed down by these old conversations, we don't have the clarity or the capacity to have something new. So I hope that I have made a point about having a conversation to clear the energy so that we're able to connect with people, to have a clean slate, to connect better. So I went over the first way to use go to the field, and that is to dump the words that we're not able to say physically, verbally to that person, and imagine a conversation and just dump all of that frustration, dump the words, and end it with forgiveness. The second way to use in the field is to give the world a speech. So all of you should have a vision board. All of you have goals. All of you want to make the world a better place. So you're going to go to the field and you're going to tell the world what you're going to do. Your vision of the world being a better place. You're going to give a sermon. You're going to preach. You're going to give a speech. When I think of, getting on a pedestal, right? I feel like I want to do that sometimes when I know I'm right about something, right? And so I went out to the field and I was actually wanting to practice a speech that I was giving at church, right? And it was so beneficial to go out to the field and be like, hey, you people, my name's Melanie and I'm going to change the world. And I got something to tell you. And I just was like, I didn't know what I was going to say at church, but it was like, what I wanted to make sure people knew is that I love you and that God loves you and that there is hope. And I just started talking and preaching. And I didn't have a lot of words. So I just kept saying the same thing in different volumes and different tones. I was like, hey, I love you. And we are gonna change the world. I'm talking to you. I love you. And we are going to change the world. You know what? We are going to change the world. And I just was like getting into it. And I was putting my arms up and I was pointing at people. And I was giving a speech. And it wasn't about the words. It was about my intention of making the world a better place. It was an intention for the people at church. And I was trying to think of stories that I could tell and stuff like that. And I was just talking with enthusiasm to encourage, to inspire, to motivate, to love, to care. So I can't tell you how I felt walking back to my house, because I noticed that I felt confident. I noticed that I felt like I had something to say. My confidence, it was like I was walking off the ground. I was comfortable. And because I had that practice, when I gave the talk in church, I had that. I had it. And of course I had, a very diplomatic talk that was written out, and there was key points and everything, and there was research that was involved. But I was confident in giving that talk because I had that vision and I had the intention of what I wanted to deliver. So I don't know if you've ever given a speech or how you feel about public speaking, but when you think about changing the world, when you think about inspiring and loving and caring and what that looks like, it really makes you feel good. When you know something and you know, you could go out there, you could give the world a speech on something you know about. As like a teacher, right? When I think about teaching and sharing, that is a human, that's human. Human beings need to share and they need to teach what they know. And it builds our self-esteem when we're helping other people and we're talking about something that would benefit somebody else. And it builds our self-esteem that I know what I'm talking about. So you go to the field and you give the world a speech. You're going to make the world a better place because of what you know about it. And watch how you feel when you're leaving the field, because you will feel confident. It's gonna feel really, really good. So the next thing, the next piece of this going to the field and using your voice to heal and release things that you don't even know you need to release. So the next one is called the plea. In your mind, you're going to use your imagination again. You're going to gather as many people as you know that you've wronged, that you've hurt, that you've been dishonest to, that you've manipulated through your entire life. And you're going to bring them together. You're going to gather all of these people together. Not physically, just kind of in spirit. You're going to gather them so they're in front of you in the field. And you're going to plea with them for forgiveness. Beg of them for forgiveness. Now I'm going to give you an example. My grandmother was raised in Richmond, Virginia, the South, and she had African American maids in her home growing up, and there were slaves in her lifetime. And I don't think she meant it, but she would say things that were definitely racist and were definitely offensive. And just realizing that my ancestors have been racist and not good to African Americans, I wanted to ask for forgiveness on behalf of my ancestors, on behalf of my grandmother, on behalf of the things that have been passed down. I wanted to say sorry. And so I pictured a group of people that have had racism, that have had, who have been the victim of racism. And I asked for their forgiveness. Now, it could be, you don't like a certain country. It could be you don't like politicians. It could be you don't like a certain religion. It could be an entity. It could be, you're angry at men and you don't trust men. And you can just see a bunch of men that you think are cheaters or liars or whatever. And you are gonna stand in front of them and ask for forgiveness. You're gonna plead with them to forgive you and ask for forgiveness on behalf of yourself and others. So what I did is I asked for forgiveness on behalf of my grandma and my ancestors and for myself. If there was any passed down racism or passed down feelings or thoughts that I wasn't even aware of, I asked for forgiveness. Now, I did this also with men because I went through a divorce. Seems like a long time ago now, but it was about 9 years ago. And I was angry and I was not planning on ever getting remarried. I was not planning on dating. Like men were dead to me, so to speak, right? So I used this, and this was many years after, right? I was finally ready to look at all the men that had hurt me in my life and all the men that I didn't trust and all the men that I thought had ulterior motives and put them in front of me and say, I'm sorry. And say what I was sorry for, say I was sorry for judging them. So everybody, I find myself even having a hard time admitting this kind of stuff even right now. It's hard to admit that there's people I don't like, or there's people I judge or criticize, or really I think I'm better than them, right? And so who are the people that annoy you? Who are the people that you are suspicious of? Who are the people that you believe have wronged you? So this is about resentment. This is about our own stuff that we've done to other people. And it's about cleaning it up. It's about pleading with them for forgiveness. The next thing to go to the field for is to declare. So you want to bring your declarations to the field. What do you want to experience in life? This is another one for your vision board. Being able to declare to the world, to heaven, to God, to the universe, to nature, what you want. You are going to describe who you are, who you want to become, how much money you want, who you want to marry, what you want your kids to do. These are declarations, and you could call them an affirmation, but I like to call it a declaration because the universe and God wants to give you everything possible, even the things you can't even think of or that you believe aren't possible. There is divinity all around us. And so This is practice in positivity and power that is inside of you. It's about what you're gonna do. It's about what you're gonna do in the world. It's the person you're gonna become before you die. And you are gonna use your body language in big ways, huge gestures. Because body language creates who you are. When you move your body, your brain releases the chemicals and hormones that tell your body it's real, it's big, I like it. So when I get big, my brain is like, yeah, she's declaring she has this space and that she is worthy of this space and she can take up room in the universe. My brain is getting signals from my body language. So big tells your brain something, and small, closed off, rolling my shoulders in, looking down, tells my brain something too. So big body language, and you're declaring to the heavens what you want. Then I will use those same words to kind of use my tone and my language as a whisper or something sacred, reverent. So, they say that when you whisper, people listen. People are able to even pay attention more when you lower your voice. So you want to use these different ranges and tones and frequency to feel the power that is inside you. So first, you're going to just declare. Then you're going to get big. And then you're going to get focused, whisper with the intention of kind of a sacred or reverent intention. Like, this is important to me. You're going to do, you're going to build, you're going to become. You're going to go where no one can hear you, so that when you speak, you feel your power and you're not looking around to see, is someone thinking I'm crazy right now? And I can assure you that when you are walking away from the field and you're going back to your car, that you're going to feel something zinging. There's going to be an energy like twinkling through you, sparkling. It's going to be surging through your body. It was almost like my spirit was bigger than my body. I felt this energy. So the energy and the gestures are for the field. And you want to keep doing this. It's not just one experience in the field. There's no shrinking. There's no holding back. There's four things that you can do in the field. Number one is dump. You're going to dump it out. Finish the conversation and you're going to dump. The next is give the world a speech. 3, the plea. Plea and beg for forgiveness. 4, declare. Now, there's more than 4. So, when you have had an experience where you are able to do all 4 of those, there is more. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask, what do I do next time in the field? And you're going to listen and obey. You will be moved to the next level. You'll be told what the next level is. Okay, remember, no one is watching. You're going to go full blast, no holding back. And the number one reason you go to the field is because no one is around. This is for you. I promise you, you will not be the same person. This is a way to get immediate results. If you want immediate results for changing and adjusting who you are, go to the field. The field is where you go. It's in the field where you can get in touch with the power inside of you. I can't wait to hear your stories. I can't wait to hear who you forgive, how you forgive yourself, how you witness the change and the power and the energy of going to the field. Let me know. I'll see you next time.